Hi guys, what I thought I'd like to do today is to go over how to map the beer label onto a beer bottle. Now, I've already done mine. It's not fantastic, but yours is going to look so much better. Make sure all your types are outlined, and it's just simply graphic shapes and bits and pieces. So outline your type, make sure nothing's sort of peculiar, just nice and simplified, if you like. So surely, yes, I certainly can copy this vector graphic and place that into Photoshop and simply paste that there as pixels onto my bottle and squishing down a little bit like so, hitting return. And, you could change a blending mode. So you might fiddle around with blending modes and see something that maybe that's kind of looking good. Blending modes always very important in digital imaging. Blending modes are fantastic. Yeah, so that could work, and it looks quite acceptable. So if you get that far, that would be great. But what I am going to do is just, if you're interested, I'm going to do it a little bit more elaborately this time. So first things first, I want to get this graphic. I've got a couple here on my stage, but I'm going to use this one. And I'm just going to turn that into a symbol. Now, if you haven't used symbols before, they're actually kind of cool and interesting. So symbols, window symbols, and drag that guy over to your library and give it a name, so forth. So he's there, he's now on my screen. And symbols are reusable elements that you can sort of populate your screen very easily with, and they're all referencing the one single object, this guy here. So that means that if I was to change that colour somewhat to a different colour, all of them are going to go. So it's actually really very handy stuff, that. So symbol, double clicking into the symbol, changing the colour to whatever you want to go with, changing it, and just double clicking out. So that's really cool. Symbols are cool. But what I want to do is actually create this 3D mapped effect. So my label, when I copied it across into Photoshop, just looked a little flat. What we're trying to do now is to replicate the curvature a little bit more, so it feels a little bit more round, if you like. So what I've done is I've drawn a circle in my stage, and it doesn't matter what colour this is. Make sure you don't have a stroke. That's sort of kind of important. Don't have a stroke, just the fill. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the 3D menu and use some of this thing called bevel and extrude. We want to extrude this shape, so make it a tube essentially. So I'm going to hit it to the front or something like that. I'm just going to hit preview, and as you can see, if I change this around, I can see that, oh yeah, that looks a bit like a prism or a coin or a tube. So I'm setting it up so that I'm looking at it side on, and that's looking good. But I want to get a little bit more depth, so I'm going to increase this up to a larger number, and yours may be different numbers than mine, but I'm going to say okay to that. That looks good. So I'm now going to say that looks good, so I'm going to do it again. Effect, 3D distort, extrude from the front, the preview, just pulling that guy upish there. I want it to look straight on, like so. That number is, again, that'll be different from yours. I just want to preview it. There, that looks good. When I'm in here, what I want to do is map my graphic shape to that cylinder. So I'm going to hit the map button, and I've got three surfaces: the top, the bottom, and the sort of the perimeter. And because we turned that label into a symbol, I'm on the, yep, so that's going to be there. That's on the wrong label, isn't it? So that's on the wrong one. It wants to be, that's my one, the side on view. There's my symbol, and there it is there. So it's sitting on my stage. Now, Looks a little upside down, so I'm just going to rotate that around with a bit of luck. There it is there. So that's starting to look like it wraps around or conforms more to the shape of my bottle. So I'm just doing a little bit of fine tuning here, guys. That looks pretty decent. Just, I got a little bit off center there, but I'm just going to eyeball that. That looks pretty decent. Yeah, you can scale that out. So it does tend to give you more of that curvature that we're sort of looking for. Now it looks like it's truly wrapped or curved around a bottle. It's giving me that map. What I do want to do here, though, is if I uncheck the invisible geometry, which I'm going to do right here, it means that it'll render out just the label or just the symbol, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to say OK to that, and I'm going to say OK to that. And there is my shape. Now I've got a little bit of remnant there, but that's not such a bad thing. I can delete that. So I'm going to copy that guy here, copy that fella, go over to Photoshop, and I'm just going to paste that in as pixels. And there it is there. So that's looking a lot more mapped around my object. Yeah, I had a bit of an issue with that line up there, so that's simply just going to delete that. Selection tool on you. Go on you are. So that feels a lot more sort of curved, which is sort of what we're after here. So it feels like it's not just a straight line. Then again, it's just scaling that down. And that just feels a lot more like it's real. Okay, so just, you can play with your blending modes from here. So maybe that's the look, something like that. Maybe that looks good to me. Okay, maybe that's my look. So you're going to build me out an advert. Ultimately, we're going to build some adverts to display and showcase our beer label. So you'll put a background in and some type. I've already got one going on over here at the side here. This is my version of the beer label. Yours is going to look so much better than this. But have a bit of fun with it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys can do. So, all right, guys, I will see you all in the lesson. All right, good stuff.